Another day, another Steve Yzerman press conference. Now I know this was 2-3 days ago, something like that, but I still wanted to go over some of the comments that Stevie Y made himself regarding Red Wings prospects, updates, and what we can expect out of some of the youngest guys in the Red Wings organization today. So what we're going to be doing is going over onto Nolan Bianchi's Twitter account and taking a look at the tweets that he made, just pretty much going over Yzerman's conference, pretty much focusing on the prospect things. And the reason I say it like that is because, come on, it's an Yzerman press conference. They ask him about a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of other topics that Yzerman ends up expanding on in this interview, but I want to talk about the prospects here today, so we're going to be focusing mostly on those quotes. This is what Steve Yzerman says about probably the guy with the most, lasting power, star potential. Do I want to say it like that? In the system today, in Moritz Seider. Yeah, it's debatable. I don't know if it's debatable, but this is what Yzerman says about Seider and the plans for him next season. If Seider is not in the top 6 of the team, he will not be watching from the press box. He adds that the Red Wings have experience, depth, and are in a better position today than they were a year ago. Now, what exactly does that quote mean right here? If Seider is not going to be on the team in a top 6 role, they're not going to let him marinate in the press box. Well, it's pretty simple to analyze there. If Seider doesn't make the team, then he's either going to Grand Rapids or they might loan him out somewhere else. I think the loan option might be a little bit more unlikely here, but if it's not a loan out, it would probably just be a Grand Rapids top 2 guy, maybe getting 25, 26, 27 minutes a night, because they don't want to go out there and put Seider in a position where he is actively not playing. This is a really valuable decision over here, and a really key piece of information that we can get as to the way Seider is going to develop long-term, because we know from this piece of information here, the Red Wings are 110% devoted to putting this guy in the best position to succeed. It's why he speaks about depth. Okay, if Moritz Seider doesn't make the team, we don't want him being an extra option. We have enough extra options on this team to come in as depth pieces, to sit in the press box, and to be our replacements if guys like Stetcher or, Hronik or whatever get injured. We have ourselves the backup guys, so we don't need to use one of those backup slots on one of our prospects that in which has a boatload of potential and that we really want to see bigger things out of in the next, decade. So for Seider, it's NHL or AHL, maybe a loan out, who really knows? I'm trying to fill in the blanks here, but AHL seems a lot more plausible to me, should he not crack the top 6 of the Red Wings next year, which I think it's more likely than not, in my opinion, to be honest. I would expect him to make the team, but if he doesn't, hey, don't be surprised if they send him down to the AHL. Speaking about earning spots, though, this is what Yzerman had to say about Joe Veleno, the team's 2018 30th overall pick from the Vegas Golden Knights. This is what he says here. I'm not going to sit here and say that Veleno is destined for Grand Rapids, but he also is not penciled into our roster. He wants Veleno to earn his spot. He also said that Veleno has gotten much stronger, and he looked pretty good in his short NHL stint with the Red Wings. And yeah, I have to agree there. Taking a look at some of the tape of Veleno in the NHL this previous season, he did look pretty okay. It looked like he certainly belonged, and he didn't look really out of place. Sure, he's going to be better, he's got to develop a little bit more, but for the way he is right now as a 20, 21-year-old guy stepping into the NHL for the first time in his career, hey, he's pretty good. You can't really ask for anything more out of that. Like Yzerman said, man, it doesn't mean he's guaranteed for a spot next year, nor does it mean he is guaranteed for the AHL club next year either. Yzerman says straight up, hey, Veleno needs to make it clear and obvious that our team is better with him than without him. He wants Veleno to give us no choice but to put him on the squad and make sure that he is there. Whether he gets there or not, hey, who knows? But still, he has been slowly progressing upwards. Veleno has such a great underdog story that I think is really going to make him a fan favorite should he make the team sooner rather than later. From exceptional status to maybe being first, second, third overall to dropping to 30th overall, and now a mainstay in the Red Wings prospect pipeline. I'm a really big fan of Veleno. He's got that Jonathan Toews-like profile, so heading into the long-term future, I really do think that's valuable, but whether that's next year, the year after that, we don't really know. It's not guaranteed. We just have to wait and see. Shifting the gears a little bit, this is what Yzerman says about Lucas Raymond, that the same standard applies to Raymond that it does to Veleno. Is he ready to go in September? October? Maybe, but we've got to wait and see. Raymond's a really interesting one, man. He was taken 4th overall in 2020, and he really just kind of popped off this year. At the World Juniors, at the SHL level, he went out there, started producing a little bit more. Obviously, 18 points in 34 games isn't like, it's not the best in the world, but you gotta remember, he's an 18-year-old guy, he's playing in the Pro Men's Hockey League in Sweden with one of the best teams. It's not like this guy's gonna be given all the opportunity in the world to be a point-per-game, whatever player like he had been in the past. However, Raymond has been in a position where his profile, his smarts, his agility, his overall mind for the game, it's so good to the point that you could really make the argument that, hey, this guy could be challenging for an NHL spot sooner rather than later, which is why he was taken 4th overall. Yzerman's acknowledging this and saying, yeah, if he gives us the same kind of mindset that we have towards Veleno, where we need to put this guy on the team, our team is unequivocally better with him than without, then, hey, we'll wait and see if it happens, and we'll go from there. Another interesting thing that was asked out of Steve Yzerman was the concept of franchise superstar prospects, and whether or not any of those guys are already in the organization, or if they'll have to go get one in free agency. Yzerman mentions Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, Simon Edvinsson, and Sebastian Cossa as guys who could pop off, but he doesn't want to put expectations or pressure on anybody. He also talks about David Pasternak's sudden rise into becoming that kind of guy despite being taken in the mid-20s in 2014's draft. I think everybody can acknowledge that, yeah, David Pastrnak is indeed a franchise-caliber guy. He defines a franchise. He is a Maurice Richard candidate year in and year out, and he's a goal-scoring machine, but he wasn't one of these top-taken guys in the draft. Can anyone on the Red Wings have that same kind of potential? Who knows, but your guess is as good as mine just mentioning some of the names over here. Lucas Raymond, I don't want to say he's in that territory, but, it's possible. Same with Seider, same with Edvinsson, same as Cossa. Yzerman kind of lays it out on the table here. Do they develop into that? Time will tell, Yzerman says. You don't have a true handle on some of these prospects, and some might get a lot better than we really got to see. Don't get me wrong, if Moritz Seider becomes a franchise-caliber defenseman, he wins a Norris or two one day, I'm not gonna complain. It's just, if you're gonna go out there, place bets, say, okay, I'm gonna put $20 down for a $400 payout that Moritz Seider wins a Norris trophy in the next 5 years, then probably not do that. I don't know, it's tough to bet with these things, so not gonna exclusively say one or the other in my opinion. They also asked, when it comes to building a hockey team that is worth contending, as to whether or not a rebuild can fully work without a number 1 or a number 2 draft pick. To this, Yzerman said that Pietrangelo was actually the highest drafted player on the 2019 Blues squad that won the Cup. And he also acknowledged that Lucas Raymond was taken 4th overall as well. He notes again that they don't necessarily know who superstars will be. What this pretty much means is that Yzerman is saying, yeah, it is possible to do well without number 1, number 2, number 3 picks. To be fair, the St. Louis Blues actually did have Jay Boucher also suiting up on their team as well. He was 3rd overall in 2002. Obviously not the big mainstay guy like Pietrangelo was, but Yzerman, man, sorry, bud, there was a 3rd overall pick on that St. Louis Blues team. Although, I will admit, Pietrangelo was a lot more important to the Blues in 2019 than Boucher was. But the point still somewhat remains. No top 1, no top 2 picks on the St. Louis Blues squad. And if you're going to go out there and say, hey, Lucas Raymond was taken 4th overall, 4th overall is still a pretty good place to pick, yeah, you're not wrong. Guess who else was taken 4th overall? Steve Yzerman himself. So I think if you're going to go out there asking 4th overall questions, talking about the development of prospects and whether or not you need to be a 1st or a 2nd overall pick to be a franchise talent, Yzerman would probably know as good as anybody that you don't need to be in that spot in order to really establish yourself as an NHL legend. So talk to me in the comments what you think about these Steve Yzerman quotes, talking about Moritz Seider, talking about Lucas Raymond, Veleno, and some of the other guys as well. Edvinsson, Cossa had their names mentioned in there, but we primarily focused on the big 3, Seider, Veleno, Raymond, the 2018, 19, and 20 guys. Veleno was 2018. He wasn't their main guy. Their main guy in 2018 was actually Filip Zadina, who has been on the team right now and who has been pretty good. I know a lot of people like to talk about Zadina. Oh, he's not as good as we thought he would be. Calm down, guys. You're still giving Joe Veleno a chance, so give Zadina a chance too. This guy's not hit his prime yet. He's going to be a lot better. I'm pretty sure about that. So talk to me in the comments in general. What do you think about Veleno, Seider, and Raymond? I hope you enjoyed this video. So, and bye.